When you think of New York City, what comes to mind? The dazzling lights of Times Square, the Statue of Liberty, or maybe the bustling streets filled with people from all walks of life. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement and forget that, like any other major city, New York has its own set of challenges. Viewcation presents the biggest NYC tourist scams to avoid. The free CD scam. You're walking down the street, enjoying the city vibes, when someone hands you a CD claiming it's their latest music and it's free. But the moment you take it, they demand payment, often aggressively. It's a classic New York scam. How to avoid it? The best way to steer clear of this scam is to keep walking and not engage. If you're not interested in the CD, a polite no thank you will suffice. Costume character photos. Times Square is filled with colorful characters, literally. People dressed as popular movie or comic book characters will pose for a photo with you. But once the snapshot is taken, they'll ask for money, sometimes a lot more than you'd expect. If you really want that photo, make sure to ask for the price up front. This way you won't be caught off guard. Fake monks. Imagine walking through Central Park and someone dressed as a monk offers you a peace bracelet for free. Once you accept, they'll ask for a donation for their temple. The best way to avoid this scam is politely to decline the offer and keep walking. Remember, it's always okay to say no. Subway swipers. In the subway, you might encounter people offering to swipe you in using their unlimited Metro card. After you pass through, they'll ask for cash, often more than the cost of a single ride. Always use the official Metro card vending machines or ticket counters to purchase your subway fare. This ensures you're not overcharged and keeps you on the right side of the law. The broken taxi meter. You hop into a taxi and the driver informs you the meter is broken, offering a flat rate instead. This flat rate is usually much higher than what the metered fare would be. So stick to reputable taxi companies or use rideshare apps like Uber or Lyft, where the fare is clearly stated before you confirm the ride. Street games. Street games like 3-Card Monte or the Shell game might catch your eye. The game seems simple and people around you seem to be winning, but the games are usually rigged. The best way to avoid losing money is simply not to play. Street gambling is also illegal in New York, so you're better off staying away. The found jewelry. Someone picks up a piece of gold jewelry off the ground and offers to sell it to you at a huge discount. The jewelry is usually fake, and you end up paying for a worthless metal. If the deal seems too good to be true, it probably is. Stick to buying from reputable sources. Restaurant scams. In tourist-heavy areas, some restaurants offer specials that aren't listed on the menu. When the bill comes, you find out those specials were incredibly expensive. So always ask for the price of any specials before ordering. If the server is vague about the cost, consider it a red flag. Fake tickets. People selling tickets to Broadway shows, sports events, or tourist attractions on the street might seem like they're offering a great deal, but these tickets are often counterfeit. Always buy tickets from official sources, such as the venue's box office or a reputable online vendor. The helpful local. An overly friendly local offers to show you the real New York and take you to the best spots in town. Unfortunately, this can sometimes be a setup for a scam or even a dangerous situation. So while it's great to meet new people, be cautious. Stick to well-reviewed places or official guided tours to explore the city safely. The express bus tours. You might be tempted by offers for an express bus tour of the city's highlights. However, these tours often skip many attractions and can be overpriced. Do your research and opt for well-reviewed tour companies. Make sure to compare prices and itineraries before making a decision. The iPhone trick. Someone might find an iPhone or similar piece of pricey tech on the ground and offer it to you, claiming they don't need it. After you accept, they'll ask for money. So politely decline any items offered to you by strangers. If you didn't drop it, don't pick it up. The free Wi-Fi scams. You may find open Wi-Fi networks labeled as free public Wi-Fi. These could be traps to get your personal information. Only connect to verified and secure Wi-Fi networks, preferably those provided by establishments where you're a customer. The friendship bracelet. Remember that monk we mentioned earlier? Well, he's not the only one trying to make a buck off of you through shady accessories. With this common scam, someone starts making a bracelet around your wrist, claiming it's a sign of friendship. Once it's done, they'll demand payment. So if someone starts tying anything around your wrist, politely but firmly decline and walk away. The spill on your clothes. A stranger accidentally spills something on you and offers to help clean it up. While you're distracted, they or an accomplice pickpocket you. So be cautious when strangers invade your personal space. Politely decline their help and keep an eye on your belongings. The emergency email. You might receive an email from a friend saying they're stranded in New York and need money. This is usually a phished and hacked email account. Always verify emergency requests through another means of communication before sending any money. The art scam. Street artists offer to make quick sketches of you, claiming it's free. Once the sketch is done, they'll demand a high price. So always ask for the price up front if you're interested in street art. If they say it's free, make sure to get that in writing. The petition scam. Someone asks you to sign a petition and then demands a donation for their cause. If you're not familiar with the cause, it's best to avoid signing anything or giving money. Do your own research first. The ATM Helper. Someone offers to help you use an ATM either because it's complicated or broken. They're usually trying to skim your card information. How to avoid it? Never let anyone assist you at an ATM. If the machine looks tampered with, find another one. The rental scam. You find an amazing deal on a vacation rental. After you pay, you discover the property doesn't exist or it's already booked. So you should always book through reputable websites and make sure to read reviews. Be wary of deals that seem too good to be true. The discounted souvenirs. Street vendors may offer you souvenirs at special discounted prices, but these items are often overpriced and of poor quality. Stick to buying souvenirs from reputable stores or well-known tourist spots where prices are clearly marked. The tourist information centers. Some places posing as tourist information centers are actually timeshare or sales offices that lure you in with free maps or advice. So use your phone or guidebook for information or go to an official visitor center. The lost tourist. Someone posing as a tourist asks you for directions and then asks you to accompany them, leading you into a scam or unsafe area. So be cautious when strangers ask for more than simple directions. It's okay to say no and walk away. The phone charger scam. You might find charging stations that offer to quick charge your phone for a fee. These stations can sometimes download your data without your knowledge. Use your own charger and plug it into a wall socket or carry a portable charger with you. The official document sellers. People near government buildings or consulates may offer to sell you necessary forms for a fee. These forms are usually free inside the building. Always get any forms directly from official sources and avoid buying anything from people on the street near such buildings. The airport rides. Unofficial drivers at the airport may offer you a ride at what seems like a reasonable rate, but then charge you additional hidden fees. So always use authorized taxi services, public transportation, or trusted rideshare apps when leaving the airport. Now it's time to hear from you. When are you next planning to visit New York City? Let us know in the comments section below.